The Gobi Desert is home to a 5-foot death worm that has never been photographed. The Mongolian death worm looks like a long, sausage-like sandworm, dark red in color with spikes that protrude from both ends of its body. These alleged deadly worms live beneath the sands of the Gobi Desert, allegedly using poisonous spit or electric shock strong enough to kill an adult human. There are legends about these monstrous worms, but no one has ever verified seeing them firsthand. Here is the real story behind the rumored Mongolian death worm. Mongolian death worms are legendary creatures whose legend has been passed on through generations by second-hand accounts. Nomadic tribes in Mongolia refer to it as Allghoi khorkhoi because it is said to resemble the insides of a cow. It is said that the worm-like creature, which has blood-red skin, can grow up to 5 feet long. It's not your typical worm, though. Mongolian death worms are believed to possess a number of frightening properties. According to British biologist Carl Schuker, the Mongolian death worm is believed to possess spike-like projections at both ends of its body. Humans or other animals can also be attacked by it in a formidable manner. This worm shoots corrosive venom at its victims or sends shocks that electrocute them. This terrifying creature is said to spend most of its time hidden beneath the sand dunes of the Gobi Desert, but it is said that it comes out to play during the wetter months of June and July. Any local who encounters this creature knows to avoid it. Carl Bento/Australian Museum. The giant beach worm of Australia is a sand-dwelling worm. Despite its deadly projectiles and grisly appearance, the Mongolian death worm has never been photographed. Clearly, attempts have been made to do so. In search of the legendary beast, researchers and intrepid adventurers have combed the Gobi Desert. In 1990, 1992, and 2004, Czech cryptozoologist Ivan Makurl, one of the foremost investigators of the worm, visited Mongolia 3 times in search of it. As a boy, Makurl first learned about the death worm through the work of paleontologist Ivan Yefremov. During college, he became obsessed with the worm after meeting a Mongolian student. In his late 40s, after scouring Mongolian literature for more clues regarding the death worm, he was finally permitted by the Mongolian government to conduct research there. Another more dangerous animal also lives in the Gobi, the Allghoi khorkhoi. It resembles an intestine filled with blood, and it travels underground. Its movement can be detected from above via the waves of sand that it displaces. Ivan Makurl's expedition team attempted different ways to project vibrations underground during their search for the Mongolian death worm, inspired by Frank Herbert's 1965 sci-fi novel Dune, which features giant sandworms that are attracted to rhythmic vibrations. In a book about his Mongolian expedition in the 1920s, zoologist Roy Chapman Andrews briefly referred to the local legend. Locals still believe in the existence of the Mongolian death worm, but physical evidence or research has yet to confirm its existence. In the West, the legend was first discovered by zoologist Roy Chapman Andrews. Before his pioneering expedition to document Mongolian wildlife, he learned about the elusive sand creature from Mongolian officials. Andrews wrote the following in his resulting book On the Trail of Ancient Man. Then the premier asked that, if it were possible, I should capture for the Mongolian government a specimen of the Allghoi khorkhoi. None of those present ever had seen the creature, but they all firmly believed in its existence and described it minutely. The premier said that, although he had never seen it himself, he knew a man who had and had lived to tell the tale. Then a cabinet minister stated that the cousin of his late wife's sister had also seen it. However, this anecdote about the Mongolian death worm is merely a footnote in Andrews' book. Many expeditions have been launched to search for the Mongolian death worm without success. Despite lack of scientific evidence, scientists dismiss cryptids such as the Yeti and the Chupacabra as urban legends. However, it is possible that creatures like the Mongolian death worm exist. After all, even Jane Goodall, a world-renowned primatologist, expressed openness to the possibility of Bigfoot. In the vast Gobi Desert, which covers 500,000 square miles of rugged terrain, there is a high possibility that there are undiscovered animal species. There are also worm species that live in sand instead of soil, such as the giant beach worm, Australoneuphis teres, in Australia. The circulatory system of worms functions by absorbing oxygen from their skin and carrying it throughout their body, allowing them to grow to such large sizes as the death worm's purported 5-foot length. As of yet, no photographic proof has been found for the Mongolian death worm. So how did this legend begin? According to experts, witnesses may have mistaken other animals, like this sand boa, for the legendary death worm. Several possible explanations could be at play. As a first theory, these stories might be true, but have become greatly exaggerated over time, as with most stories passed orally. Death worms are also translated incorrectly in English from their Mongolian origins, and experts believe that if such a creature exists, it is actually a type of reptile, not a soft, wriggly worm. According to legends, either a sand boa snake or a worm lizard, which looks like a large limbless worm and burrows underground, could have inspired the death worm legends. No matter how the legend of the death worm began, cryptid researchers remain hopeful that one day they will discover it. Please, comment, like, and subscribe for more paranormal videos on the Paranormal Portal.